Yes, we could have staved that off a long time ago. Very interesting what's going on around the country. There's a gentleman that is the vice president for the Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, and I was listening to this guy, Jim Cartano, talk about several of the things that are happening right now amidst the G20 summit. Trump needing to talk with leaders, obviously. Putin is going to be one of them in Poland, but China and Japan. And, I have some curious questions, obviously, on what in the world is going on and what we should be thinking about right now as Donald Trump is actually, heading to these meetings. This is the stuff that the media actually should be covering because these things will affect all of us. And they do affect us. Here is the gentleman who is a very smart guy that understands something about world affairs, and his credentials are endless if you ever look him up. Jim Cartana, vice president, once again, of the Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy, again at the Heritage Foundation.
Well, Trump has kind of flipped the tables, and he's playing rope-a-dope with the Chinese and the Russians. Before the Chinese would promise and then do nothing. So at Mar-a-Lago, the Chinese promised and did nothing. And so what the administration said to do is, we're going to work with the Chinese. And then we did a freedom of navigation operation in the South China Seas, which they hate. We sold arms to Taiwan, which we hate. And we sanctioned Chinese, which we hate. And then Trump gets on the phone and tells the Chinese, hey, let's work together. So what he's done is send them a very powerful message that, we can talk all we want, but look, we're going to protect U.S. interests, and you need to get on the stick.
Thank you. And that's Donald Trump. It's right. Get on the stick. Get it done. All right. So leaders, in their meeting ahead of the G20 summit, like I said, is that important for them to meet first and foremost? And what's your thoughts about that?
China's never going to work with us, but again, he's playing rope-a-dope with the Chinese. The fact that he calls the Japanese, who are our strongest allies in the region, and reaffirms that bilateral tie, and he just met with the South Koreans and had a pretty successful meeting and reaffirmed the bilateral tie. Those are all very subtle messages to the Chinese, like, dude, you are not getting your way in this theater, and you need to start playing ball.
So will the Chinese work with us? And he said,
China's never going to work with us. But
did you hear that? China is never going to work with us. That's very scary, given North Korea is ratcheting up, and wouldn't be surprised if there's not a launch coming up. A lot of activity from that launch pad. Trump and Putin. Syria, what's going to be some of the discussion here?
I expect a nothing burger. I don't expect anything to come out of this meeting, quite honestly. Look, they may talk about the Ukraine and Syria, but we both have pretty clearly defined interests there, and neither side's likely to give an inch.
All right, something that the mainstream media probably would talk about, wouldn't be surprised about the G20 ramping up. Some of them are going to have probably something about this. It would be ridiculous if they didn't, because they travel over there with him. So all the Russian hacking into the election, should Trump actually bring that up?
Well, this may shock you, but I think the Russians know that they hacked us, and I think they know that we know that they hacked us. First of all, I think he's going to basically play rope-a-dope with Putin. He's going to say, look, let's work together. And then if Putin doesn't deliver, I think he's going to slam him. But actually, the substantive part of this trip really is in Poland, where the president is going to meet with the heads of Poland, Croatia, the Visegrad country, and they're going to talk about key issues, including energy, which is super important for us, super important for them, and regional security, not just in the Ukraine and not just with Russia, but also what the Russians are doing in the Balkans and the Black Sea. Really important for the president to hear all that. So that's going to be substantive.
All right. And we wish the president well in his travels there. Lots of things happening around the world, folks. We live in a very interesting time. A lot of countries and their sovereignty, they're really trying to flex their muscle and really testing a lot. China testing big time. And they're getting called out on a lot of different things. It'll be interesting with China about, the trafficking that's going on down there, as we've scolded them and have put them out on notice that we are aware of it, and just the inhumane treatments of their own people. But again, it's not a big surprise that they are cozied up with North Korea. not a big surprise, folks. You think about that. I mean, they're doing kind of similar things in sweatshops over there, and how they treat their folks over there, folks. They don't have the democracy that we have. Not a surprise. But man, do we not have a huge trade deal going on with China. It'll be interesting. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and listen to it, but I am very hopeful that Donald Trump will really be able to let them know that we're on them. We're on to them. We know what they're doing, and all we're looking for is fair trade, and that's it. We're looking out for our people, and that's all China's trying to do for their country. There's a big difference, though, between China and America. We're free. They're not. And that's the big difference. We wish the Chinese well and for the people. We sincerely do. A lot of hardworking Chinese people out there. But the government and how they've treated their people, very inhumane. And they do rip us off with trade. They rebuild things. We're ripped off with intellectual property. It's endless. We could go on, but not very good at all. And that's why I'm leery about buying stuff made in China. Try to make it made in the USA. Be proud of our country. Keith Allen for the people saying all the best. May God bless.